The relationship between the United States and Iran has been one of the most dangerous and enduring flashpoints in modern history. For more than 4 decades, these two nations have been locked in a cycle of confrontation, mistrust, shadow warfare. This long and bitter rivalry began with the 1979 Iranian Revolution, which toppled a key American ally, the Shah, and installed a fiercely anti-Western Islamic Republic. The subsequent hostage crisis, where American diplomats were held for 444 days, seared a deep scar into the American psyche, cementing Iran as a formidable adversary in the eyes of Washington. Since then, the conflict has ebbed and flowed, but the fundamental antagonism has never disappeared. Through the years, this animosity has manifested in numerous ways, shaping the geopolitical landscape of the entire Middle East. The United States has consistently viewed Iran as a state sponsor of terrorism, a destabilizing force that seeks regional hegemony through a network of proxies, and a dangerous proliferator of nuclear technology. On the other side, Iran's leaders have portrayed America as the Great Satan, an imperialist power determined to dominate their revolutionary government. This deep-seated ideological clash has fueled proxy wars in Lebanon, Yemen, covert operations, and crippling economic sanctions, creating a state of perpetual tension that has repeatedly brought the two nations to the brink of direct military conflict. The period between 2020 and 2026 has proven to be particularly critical, marking a dramatic and perilous escalation. The fragile diplomatic architecture that once contained the conflict has crumbled, replaced by a strategy of maximum pressure and military brinkmanship. Events during these years have pushed the long-simmering Cold War into a hot conflict, transforming the theoretical risk of war into a devastating reality. The killing of a top Iranian general, the collapse of nuclear diplomacy, escalating attacks by Iranian-backed militias, and major strikes on Iranian soil have created a spiral of retaliation. As of today, May 24, 2024, we are analyzing a hypothetical but frighteningly plausible near-future scenario that has tipped into open warfare. This analysis will delve into this critical timeline, chronicling the key decisions and turning points that led from a tense standoff to a direct military confrontation in early 2026. We will examine the strategic calculations on both sides, the domestic pressures influencing their leaders, and the regional dynamics that have fanned the flames of war. But beyond simply recounting the path to this conflict, we will address the central question that now looms over the international community. With American leadership now openly calling for the downfall of the Islamic Republic, we must ask, are we witnessing the beginning of a successful regime change in Iran? And what would be the true cost of such an outcome? Okay, so that is the issue we need to confront. The modern chapter of the US-Iran conflict began its rapid descent into open hostility with a single decisive action. In May 2018, President Donald Trump withdrew the United States from the JCPOA. This landmark 2015 nuclear agreement, negotiated by the Obama administration alongside world powers, had provided Iran with significant sanctions relief in exchange for verifiable limits on its nuclear program. Trump repeatedly called it the worst deal ever, saying it failed to address Iran's ballistic missile program and its support for regional militias. The withdrawal was more than a policy reversal. It declared the era of diplomatic engagement over, replaced by confrontation. The Trump administration launched a maximum pressure campaign. It reimposed and escalated crippling economic sanctions. The aim? Choke Iran's revenue, especially oil exports, to force a tougher deal. The economic impact was immediate and devastating. The rial plummeted, inflation soared, and ordinary Iranians saw life savings evaporate. The campaign culminated in a moment that almost brought the nations to war. On January 3, 2020, a U.S. drone strike near Baghdad airport killed General Qasem Soleimani. For Iran, Soleimani was a hero, the architect of regional influence. For the U.S., he was a designated terrorist tied to American casualties. His assassination was a shocking escalation. Days later, it launched ballistic missiles, striking 2 Iraqi bases with U.S. troops. No Americans were killed, but 100+ suffered traumatic brain injuries. The exchange set a dangerous precedent. Iran then said it would no longer abide by JCPOA enrichment limits. The nuclear deal was effectively dead, and the path to war now seemed frighteningly clear and direct. Joe Biden's election in November 2020 brought a brief flicker of hope. The new administration vowed a return to diplomacy, with a key goal: revive the JCPOA. In 2021, indirect talks began in Vienna. Negotiations soon bogged down in mistrust and irreconcilable demands. Iran demanded a guarantee the U.S. would not withdraw unilaterally. The Biden administration could not constitutionally give that guarantee. The final blow to the sputtering diplomatic efforts came in the autumn of 2023. On October 7th, Hamas, an Iran-backed Palestinian militant group, launched a devastating surprise attack on Israel, killing around 1,200 people and taking hundreds of hostages. This brutal assault triggered a massive Israeli military response, igniting a conflict that sent shockwaves across the entire Middle East. In the wake of the Gaza war, Iran's network of proxy militias went into overdrive. From late 2023 into early 2024, American bases were targeted more than 150 times. Simultaneously, the Houthi movement in Yemen began attacking international shipping in the Red Sea, disrupting one of the world's most critical maritime trade routes. Donald Trump, campaigning for a second term, seized on the regional chaos as evidence of the Biden administration's weakness. He promised a return to a policy of decisive action, by force if necessary. The return of Donald Trump to the White House in January 2025 marked the definitive end of any diplomatic track with Iran. A last-ditch round of indirect talks collapsed almost as soon as it began. The breaking point arrived in June 2025. Citing intelligence that Iran was on the verge of a nuclear breakout, the United States and Israel launched Operation Midnight Hammer. This was not a limited, retaliatory strike, but a major coordinated air campaign. Over 12 days, waves of bombers, fighter jets, and cruise missiles hit key facilities at Natanz, Fordo, and Iraq. The attacks were designed to be crippling, destroying centrifuges and underground enrichment halls. Iran, its air defenses in tatters, responded asymmetrically. It launched a volley of ballistic missiles, but the damage was contained. After 12 days of violence, a fragile ceasefire, brokered once again by Oman, took hold. The aftermath of Operation Midnight Hammer created a perfect storm inside Iran. The currency collapsed, and hyperinflation sent the prices of basic goods spiraling out of control. By late 2025, this economic desperation exploded into massive nationwide protests, an uprising against the entire clerical establishment. The fragile ceasefire that had held since mid-2025 was shattered on February 28, 2026. The United States and Israel, acting in concert, launched Operation Roar of the Lion, a massive wave of coordinated strikes. Targets now extended beyond Iran's nuclear remnants to the heart of its military and political establishment. Massive explosions rocked the capital, Tehran, Isfahan, and other Iranian cities.
From the White House, President Trump declared the initiation of major combat operations, but he went further. In posts on Truth Social, Trump directly addressed the Iranian people. He urged them to seize control of your country, explicitly framing the intervention as an act of support for a popular revolution. Major combat operations. Seize control of your country.
Regime change, long an unspoken aim, was now official policy amid falling bombs. Initial targets revealed the operation's ambitious scope. In Tehran, explosions were reported near University Street and the Jamhuri area. Iran's retaliation was as swift as it was predictable, but its scale shocked the region. The regime unleashed a furious barrage of ballistic missiles against the Arab Gulf states that host major American military installations. The attacks were a clear message to America's regional partners. Your alliance with Washington comes at a price. Iran confirmed it was targeting military assets. In the UAE, explosions were seen in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Authorities in Abu Dhabi confirmed at least one civilian death. Simultaneously, Iran moved to weaponize its control over the global economy. The regime declared the Strait of Hormuz effectively shut down. Iranian naval forces broadcasted warnings to all maritime traffic, declaring transit banned. This single act sent shockwaves through global energy markets. The response from the Arab world was one of unified and unprecedented condemnation. In a joint statement, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, and Kuwait denounced Iran's attacks. Gone was the careful ambiguity of past crises. As foreign bombs fell and regional tensions exploded, Iran's internal situation spiraled into chaos. U.S.-Israeli strikes accelerated nationwide protests. Rumors swirled over the fate of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Satellite imagery showed severe damage inside his fortified compound. Israeli officials publicly claimed Khamenei had been killed. Iranian state media denied it and said he was safe. The lack of new video or audio fueled further speculation. The regime's response looked disjointed. The IRGC and Basij militia continued brutal street crackdowns. Massacres from earlier in January appeared to be resuming. Meanwhile, some mid-level officials and diplomats signaled quietly through back channels, open to negotiations.
Their voices were amplified by prominent opposition figures, including the exiled Crown Prince, Reza Pahlavi. In a widely circulated statement, Pahlavi declared the regime was collapsing and called on Iran's military to abandon what he called Khamenei's sinking ship. Now that the Islamic Republic is collapsing, join the people and help bring about a stable and secure transition.
Regime change in Iran has been a U.S. fantasy since 1979, but Trump's explicit call makes it a live option. What if the U.S. succeeds? Experts outline several scenarios. Scenario 1. Limited strikes, leading to internal collapse. U.S. precision strikes could target IRGC bases, leadership bunkers, and economic infrastructure, aiming to spark a popular uprising. Protests, already fueled by economic woes, could overwhelm security forces. If Khamenei falls, a transitional government might emerge, potentially pro-Western or secular. Positive outcomes for U.S. neutralized nuclear threat, dismantled proxy networks, Hezbollah, Houthis weakened, $300–500 billion in economic gains from stabilized oil markets and new trade. Negatives. Civil war risk high. Iran's ethno-sectarian mix, Persian 61%, Azeris 16%, Kurds 10%, Arabs 2%, could fracture like Syria or Iraq. Separatist militias might exploit chaos, leading to state failure, refugee crises, and terrorist havens. Scenario 2. Full-scale invasion and occupation. A ground invasion to topple the regime would require 100,000-plus troops, echoing Iraq 2003, but against a more capable foe. Negatives. Massive casualties. U.S. estimates 5,000–10,000 in first weeks. $2.3 trillion cost. Global oil spike. Prices to $200 a barrel. Refugee waves to Europe, Turkey. Russia-China could arm insurgents, turning it into a proxy war. Regional spillover. Hezbollah attacks Israel. Houthis disrupt Red Sea shipping. Iraq, Syria destabilized. Scenario 3. Proxy war and slow attrition. U.S. supports internal opposition through cyber ops, sanctions enforcement, and arms to protesters, separatists. Strikes degrade regime capabilities without invasion. Negatives. Prolonged instability, humanitarian crisis, famine, disease, radicalization, ISIS-like groups emerge. Iran retaliates via proxies, targeting U.S. bases. Global economy suffers. Oil disruptions cost $1 trillion annually. Scenario 4. Diplomatic resolution with regime survival. If talks succeed, Iran suspends enrichment for 3 to 5 years, limits missiles. U.S. lifts some sanctions. Positive. Avoids war, stabilizes region, eases oil prices. Negatives. Regime hardens domestically, suppresses protests more brutally. Nuclear threat persists if deal fails like JCPOA. Trump might claim victory but face criticism for not achieving change. Regime change would reshape the Middle East. A pro-US Iran could dominate energy markets, weakening OPEC's grip and boosting US exports. Israel gains existential security. Gulf states invest in reconstruction. However, fragmentation risks. Kurds, Balak, Azeris seek autonomy, sparking wars with Turkey, Pakistan. Globally, Russia loses a key ally for arms, tech, facing isolation in Ukraine, Syria. China loses cheap oil and a Belt and Road hub. Both might back insurgents, prolonging conflict. For the U.S., domestic division. Congresswoman Hillary Scholten criticized strikes for lacking authorization, echoing Vietnam-Iraq debates. Costs could exceed $2 trillion, straining economy amid 2026 recession fears. Humanitarian toll. Millions displaced, famine in Iran. Already 40% poverty, global migration crises. As of February 28, 2026, the conflict is fluid. Strikes continue. Iran's retaliation hits Gulf allies, condemning aggression. Protests surge, but regime holds via IRGC. If regime change succeeds, short-term chaos, long-term opportunity for democracy, but likely Iraq 2.0. Unstable, costly. If fails, escalated war, regional conflagration, $200 oil, global recession. Best path, resume Oman-mediated talks for nuclear freeze, sanctions relief. Trump's armada pressures, but experts warn air power alone rarely changes regimes. Iran's future hangs in balance. Regime collapse could liberate, but at what cost? History warns. External change often births worse monsters. The unwritten future of Iran will be decided in the coming weeks and months. It can be a future of endless war, fragmentation, and human misery. A cautionary tale for generations to come. Or it can be a future where diplomacy, however difficult, pulls the region back from the abyss. The choice is between the seductive but deceptive promise of a quick and total victory through force, and the arduous but essential work of building a flawed and fragile peace. History warns us that the former path almost always leads to ruin. The world must hope that the leaders of today have the wisdom to choose the latter. Well,